In the spring, we will offer Personal Growth 120, Chicano Studies, Black Studies, and Health 101. Additionally, Lincoln High School also provided opportunities and training for students to participate in internships. Lastly, through our partnership with the UCSD's Chancellor's Office, 28 of our graduates were offered full ride scholarships. All of this is a testament to the hard work and commitment that Team Lincoln is engaged in, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share some of our successes with you this evening. Please stand for the presentation of colors and the Pledge of Allegiance by the Lincoln High School Army JROTC. I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To sing our national anthem, please welcome Emma Christie Foster and Jasmine Villalino from the School of Creative and Performing Arts.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. To begin tonight's program, please welcome Board President Marnie Foster.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here tonight. I would like to begin by officially calling the October 20th school board meeting to order, but just one second, actually I don't. I need to share with you a little bit of my excitement before I call the meeting to order. I can't express to you how excited I am, how thrilled I am, and don't laugh, how supercalifragilisticexpialidocious I am, that I will be discussing the state of San Diego Unified School District as the president of San Diego Unified School District in District E, the home of Morris, Crawford, and Lincoln clusters, on this stage the 20th of October, 2015. A great part of the reason why I'm so excited is that not only that we have some great news to share and where we're headed, but I'm also thrilled because I am a product of Lincoln High School. Well, not because I graduated from Lincoln High School, because I didn't. I graduated from Gompers. But I'm literally a product of Lincoln High School because both of my parents, Howard Foster and Sandra Foster King, graduated from Lincoln, got married, and had me, so I consider myself a product of Lincoln High School. On a more serious note, my grandmother, Onita King, spent a lot of time on this campus working with a diverse group of women, white, Latino, Black, and Asian, to form the very first Lincoln High School Parent-Teacher Association. And to be at Lincoln more than 50 years later discussing the state of San Diego Unified School District, well, I have to say, it's just divine, and I'm grateful. And with that, I'd like to call the October 20th, 2015 San Diego Unified School Board meeting to order with all board members present. I would also like to express our appreciation for those individuals who made tonight possible, and there are many. First, I'd like to thank everyone at Lincoln High School for hosting this event. Next, I'd like to thank the San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts Jazz Band, directed by John Reynolds, for the outstanding entertainment you will provide this evening and the entertainment that you provided at the reception. I'm excited to say that we'll be hearing from them again and again because they're just stellar. Thanks also to the District Food Services Catering Department for catering this event, and the Communications Department for coordinating tonight's event. And finally, I want to thank AXA Advisors for their generous sponsorship of the 2015 State of the District Address. At this time, I would like to give my fellow board members an opportunity to say a few words, starting with Vice President Dr. John Lee Evans.
Good evening. Last Friday night, the Mira Mesa teachers and principals were playing in a basketball game against the Harlem Globetrotters. And it was a pretty amazing event, but one of the things about it is it was to raise funds for the Mira Mesa High School Band, which is going to represent San Diego in the Rose Bowl Parade, and they have 250 members in their band. But the thing about this is we're talking about quality schools in every neighborhood, and Mira Mesa is really an example of that. All of the community turned out to support the school, the band, the teachers, the principals, everybody. Just a week or so ago, I was at the Mira Mesa Town Council meeting, and each principal was there and with all members of the community and got up and talked excitedly about all the great things that are going on in their school. The vast majority of the students who live in Mira Mesa attend Mira Mesa schools. We don't ever expect it to be 100%, but it's pretty darn close in Mira Mesa. And the reason is it's a very diverse community, both ethnically, racially, economically. It's a real combination of different types of people in Mira Mesa, and it's very exciting to see what's going on there, even including the opening of the new Salk Elementary. This also depended on the perseverance of the community for the last 30 years to have that school built. But there's such enthusiasm, and that's what I really want to point out on the part of the parents, the teachers, the principals. The high school stadium is pretty much occupied 24/7 with events for kids, adults, all the time. The 4th of July, the community is always out there. There are other things happening across the district, of course. I was just in a meeting at the University City Cluster where the Spreckles teachers were so excitedly talking about the new things that they're doing to revitalize their school. The Madison Cluster a year or so ago saw a need to improve the middle schools, and so they moved the 6th grade from elementary to middle school. This was entirely a community process working in cooperation with the district to make this happen. And at Claremont High School, they're now going to have 4 different pathways, almost like college majors, where the students are going to be able to study business, engineering, information technology, or healthcare, as well as all the basic core courses with their enthusiastic new principal. So there's a lot happening at the high schools, not only there, but all across the districts. There are exciting things happening, and I think you're going to hear tonight from Board President Foster and Superintendent Cindy Martin a lot of things that we've accomplished and what we're going to continue to accomplish. So thank you very much. And now I would like to introduce fellow board member Richard Barrera.
Thank you, John. I want to especially say thank you to Principal John Ross for hosting us here tonight and the entire Lincoln community. It's so exciting to hear about what's happening with the development of the early middle college here on the Lincoln campus. It's something that I know people have for a long time been fighting to create, and I know under the leadership of President Marnie Foster and Superintendent Cindy Martin, seeing this come to reality is incredibly exciting. But I know that what we can do at the district level is to provide support to the ideas that come from the community. And I know that what happens at Lincoln High School usually actually begins with advocacy from students. So I wonder if there are any Lincoln High School students here with us tonight. If you could raise your hand. Lincoln High School students here in the audience. I think they're around. Lincoln High School has such a proud tradition of creating change, positive change in our district, and we see that now in the development of the early middle college program here at the high school. But I think students here should understand that you're following a legacy of Lincoln High students who themselves have made important policy changes throughout the entire San Diego Unified District, from removing rifle ranges from our campuses to actually advocating for the UC A to G graduation requirements as the standard for high school graduation for all students across the district, with this class of 2016 being the first class that will graduate under these new higher standards. That came from advocacy from Lincoln High School students. And that advocacy is now extended to creating a district that's more culturally proficient, to a district that emphasizes restorative justice, to a district that will develop an ethnic studies curriculum for all students. Again, I think we all in our district owe tremendous gratitude to the Lincoln community and to the students of Lincoln who have advocated to make changes for themselves and for this school, but that change has applied across the district. So we're going to hear about a lot of exciting things tonight, but we know that the origin of so many of these ideas have actually come from the students here at Lincoln. So thank you for having us here tonight, and I'd like to ask Trustee Kevin Beiser to join us.
Thank you, President Marnie Foster and Vice President Dr. John Lee Evans for having this annual event here at Lincoln High School in this beautiful auditorium. Proof of the investment that we can make in our schools and our communities to provide facilities worthy of our children. And we're continuing that work, making sure that our schools and our classrooms are safe learning environments for all of our children. And that includes air conditioning in our hot schools. In the last couple of years, this board has voted unanimously, most recently, to continue to move forward with air conditioning in our hot classrooms. I look forward to that coming forward to the board in November, where we can look for ideas and solutions so we can have air conditioning in every classroom in San Diego Unified School District. Not only are those ideas that Trustee Barrera talked about coming from students, but a lot of other great ideas over our last couple of years have come from students. In Tierra Santa, a group of elementary school students came forward and said, let's get rid of these styrofoam lunch trays that are filling up our landfills. Now, we've done that. A lot of other great things have happened because of students, innovation, ideas coming forward to this board and this district and implementing things like biodiesel fuel and a host of other things that are environmentally friendly and are reducing our carbon footprint every day. We need to continue to listen to our communities. I just heard a wonderful report. Lewis Middle School in the Patrick Henry cluster will be having their own Qualcomm Think-A-Bit lab on their campus. And I look forward to that. I believe that will be opening up December 3rd, and you're all invited to come on out to Lewis Middle School for Qualcomm's Think-A-Bit lab. And that is a byproduct of the movement in the Patrick Henry cluster for more of a STEM focus. And that partners in with Franklin Elementary School. Franklin students that live in Kensington can go to Patrick Henry High School, or they can go to Hoover High School. They have choices. And that's what's really important in San Diego, is that we continue to give parents choices to go to the schools that they want their children to go to. We're going to continue our work to have a quality school in every neighborhood. But we also have to make sure that we're fighting for choice for parents. With that, I'd like to introduce Trustee Michael McQuarrie. Dr. Mike?
Thank you. Superintendent Martin, President Foster, Principal Ross, thank you for having us here this evening. It's an important evening for us, an opportunity to gather, to share, to learn where we are, where we've been, and where are we going. I started this journey a year ago and immediately left for China. And that was to connect with our partners in China to build a stronger Chinese Mandarin program here. That adventure continued today as I was at Hancock Elementary School, and we talked about California food for California kids. We talked about let's connect with our farmers, let's do things locally. An incredible program and an incredible opportunity. The program was acknowledged by the United States Assistant Secretary for Agriculture, stating that this was an excellent program, it was a model for the nation, and one which is being emulated throughout this country. So from China to home, we're doing wonderful things. This journey that I've had this year has been up and down. We've gone through our highs and we've gone through our lows. The highs have been incredible. We have construction projects at all of the schools in our cluster and throughout the district. We're looking at curriculum. We're looking at adequate funding. We're looking at ways to bring quality education to our local schools in every neighborhood. Lows have included dealing with calendar issue early in the year, dealing with hot days at the start of the school year, dealing with overestimation of students and making adjustments. We've handled these adjustments, these lows, with transparency, with accountability, and with openness. It is the intention of this board is to do things well and to address our issues in a forthright way, and to involve our communities and our stakeholders in making the decisions that will affect us all. As we move down this pathway, I know we've chosen one which encourages us to embrace our diversity, to embrace our inclusiveness, learn who we are, where we're going, how can we work together, how can we bring resolutions to the tough decisions, and how can we unite around the challenge that we have ahead of us, which is to fulfill that promise that we make to every student in this district, that they will be career and college ready when they leave this system. I'm very proud to be here, very pleased to be here, very pleased to be your representative on the school board, and I hand it back to our president, President Foster.
And at this time, I would like to welcome the jazz band from the School of Creative and Performing Arts, who will be performing the St. Louis Blues and Portrait of Louis Armstrong. So you can come forward at this time and we can partake of some jazz.
go down. I hate to see that evening sun go down. 'Cause my baby, he done gone and left this town. If I'm feeling tomorrow like I feel today, if I'm feeling tomorrow like I feel today, gonna pack my trunk and make my getaway. St. Louis woman with all her diamond rings, who's that man around by her apron strings? If she didn't have a Cadillac and a great big pot of gold, that man of mine wouldn't have been so bold. The one she stole. Blues, 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 that's St. Louis blues. Mad hard rock cast in the sea, or else he wouldn't have gotten so far away from me. Like a schoolboy loves his pie, like an old Kentucky colonel loves his rock and rye. And I love that man until the day I die.
All right, how about it for Jasmine and Emma on vocals? This next tune that we're going to play is entitled Flirty Bird. If any of you have seen the movie Anatomy of a Murder, the old Hitchcock film, this is where this song came from. Thank you. That featured Jerry and Jamanilla on the alto saxophone. And on our first tune, I forgot to mention Youngblood over here. This is Alvin Page. He's in the 8th grade. Thank you very much. We have one more piece for you. This is Portrait of Louis Armstrong, which is going to feature our lead trumpet player, Cameron Alforky.
Many of you may recall that I quoted Dietrich Bonhoeffer when I first took office in 2012, who said, "The test of a morality of a society is how well it treats its children." And I would submit to you that we are all here this evening because we believe the moral imperative of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We believe that that remains ensuring the well-being of our children. First, I would like to acknowledge and thank all of you, teachers, parents, staff, and community partners, for the extraordinary support you provide to ensure that we create and continue to create academic, physical, and social environments worthy of our students, which ensures that students graduate with the skills and knowledge necessary for academic and career success as productive citizens. Tonight is my opportunity as board president to share with you my thoughts about the state of our district and how as a school board and how as a community we have so very much to be proud of. Proud of creating school environments worthy of our students that embrace and promote equity, inclusion, access, and educational excellence for all students. As we reflect back on the 2014-15 school year, it is clear that some truly incredible outcomes for students were achieved. And it happened because we all believe. We believe in our students. We invest in our students. We have high expectations for our students. And we know that when we have high expectations for them, they will aim high. And they will aim high for you, and they will aim high for themselves. This is something to be very proud of, and it took all of us to make this happen, from teachers and staff, to families and volunteers, to business and community partners, to youth and family services. We call this collective impact, and it allows our students to find their path to success, their unique path to success. I want to give you some examples of the accomplishments that we've made that have made all the difference for our students this year. When we talk about our goals, we have to talk about the Local Control Accountability Plan, also known as LCAP. This serves as the framework for our students' success. Goal 1 of our LCAP is to close the achievement gap with high expectations for all. Our district graduation rates continue to be the best in the state among large urban districts. Our overall 2014 graduation is essentially consistent with the state target of 90%. And our dropout rate of 4.5 is the lowest among large urban districts in the state of California. That's right. While we can celebrate these accomplishments, we are also mindful that for some student groups, the rates are not the same. For example, our Latino and African American students' rates are 10 and 7 points lower, respectively, than for white students. We also have challenges to meet targets for groups such as English language learners and students with disabilities, with graduation rates 72% and 58% respectively. But we know our students can achieve and succeed, and we are moving in the right direction with strategies that accelerate learning. For example, through our Title I Learning Through the Arts integration program, we are using the transformative power of the arts to close the achievement gap or the opportunity gap. Evidence has shown quality arts learning can lead to an increase in student achievement and attendance, decreased disciplinary issues, improved school climate, and an overall positive experience in students' social and emotional well-being. Under this grant, 22 Title I schools that met the 75% threshold were selected, involving 4,500 students and 100 teachers. Students are experiencing high-quality arts opportunities integrated in English language arts, science, and social studies. Nearly 20 local arts organizations are providing teaching artists to our classrooms. Students themselves believe arts education supports learning in all areas. A survey of 2,300 students in the grant program told us that overwhelmingly they love the arts. No surprise to us with this wonderful performance, right? And they learn other subjects better when they use the arts. Students also told us they love to invent. They love to use their imagination. They believe their teachers care about them, and they believe that their teachers care about them and that their teachers want them to be successful. And we know that that's important because we have to reach our students before we teach them. Another promising practice towards closing the achievement gap is the use of mentors. Last year, San Diego High School, in collaboration with Wendell Bass and Dr. Angela Bass, implemented a pilot mentorship program that has since turned into a best practice that our Office of Youth Advocacy is working to expand in areas of need across this district. And that's significant There is a special focus on underperforming subgroups like Latino and African American males who in the pilot reported their confidence, grades, and decision making greatly improved. And that's what we want to see for all students. Also important to mention are the benefits of early education. Early education is a key strategy in closing the achievement gap, and it is well documented, especially for students who come from poverty and have language barriers. This summer, we did something unprecedented by taking to the streets with a small army of teachers and volunteers, knocking on doors, providing families with information about the benefits of early childhood education. This, coupled with enrollment fairs in the community, produced 450 new preschoolers who are all now getting a jump start on learning experiences that will benefit them academically and socially throughout the rest of their lives. You better pace yourself because I'm on goal 2 and I've got 6. Just saying. Goal 2, our local LCAP commits to providing access to a broad and challenging curriculum for each and every student. Last year we ensured the A through G coursework, and we ensured that that would be available and it was a requirement because, as many of you know or should know, that our graduation requirements are in alignment with A through G requirements for CSUs and UCs. So, the college prep coursework is now accessible not to some, but to all students, regardless of their demography, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their family income or their zip code. And this is historic. I don't want to start preaching, but education is a civil right. We established a high school resource office which worked diligently with a sense of urgency with all high schools to rework our master schedules with principals and area superintendents to make sure that all students would have access to these classes, as well as all of the necessary supports and interventions needed to be successful. Today, we have more students than ever taking rigorous AP courses and taking and passing challenging AP exams, including students of color and students from economically disadvantaged homes, the very students who need additional opportunities to close the critical opportunity gap. As a part of the focus on high school innovation, we are excited to be expanding partnerships with community colleges. As a focus of our high school innovation, students now have opportunities to take college coursework as a part of meeting high school graduation requirements with every college in San Diego Community College District and UCSD Extension. These partnerships have enabled 1,500 students to have a direct connection with higher education. And I think it's worth mentioning again, as an example of this, our own Lincoln High School STEAM Middle College offers pathways, internships, and college classes right on this campus. In just 1 year's time, 120 students have taken college courses ranging from personal growth, psychology, sociology, Chicano studies, with a 97% pass rate. And when I say 90% pass rate of taking these college classes, that's with a C, B, or A. Black studies will be added this next semester, and all courses are transferable to UCs and CSUs. That's significant. Students that begin taking college classes in the 10th grade can earn 20 to 40 college credits by the time they graduate. That's right. And if you're a parent in the house, you know that's saving a lot of money and time towards college and career. This is an incredible opportunity that is now being offered at Mira Mesa, Scripps Ranch, Sarah, and UC High Schools. And I'd like to personally thank the San Diego Community College District and the leadership of Chancellor Constance Carroll and the collaboration of that board, our two boards, to make this possible. We're also very excited about expanding partnerships with San Diego businesses who are leaders in health science and medical technology, engineering and architecture, and information and communication technologies, leaders in 15 industry sectors that are the future of San Diego and California. Let me give you an example. Qualcomm, a global telecommunications company based right here in San Diego, who does not know Qualcomm, and the San Diego Workforce Partnership is an example of a relationship that enables us not only to shape our curriculum to connect students to future career paths, but also to continue to close the achievement gap. For example, these partners in education enabled all of our 10th graders to take the Strong Interest Inventory Assessment to detail their interests, identify their strengths, and see how these may relate to various occupations and careers of the future. We'd like for all of our 8th graders to take the same strengths inventory assessment to help them begin to identify what their strengths are and who their inner genius might be. Knowing this can help them look at high school options and pathways with a better understanding of who they can be before they get to high school. Imagine how much more confidence a student can have entering high school if he or she already has an idea of his or her strengths and what that inner genius is starting to look like. Imagine how knowing this information will help teachers to positively affect students' interactions. Goal 3 is quality leadership, teaching, and learning. In 2013, we started some very important work to create a strong pipeline of teachers as we saw 3 challenging trends. One, that our teacher pool does not proportionately reflect the diverse population of students that we serve. 2, the demand for highly skilled teachers would be increasing faster than the available new teachers coming in. And 3, we needed to partner with higher education in the region to develop teachers that can deliver culturally relevant instructional strategies needed to be effective in our schools of today and tomorrow. Through our Teacher Pipeline Task Force, we partnered with the San Diego Educators Association, our paraeducators, our instructional cabinet, and colleges and universities in San Diego to develop a plan. As a result, we have revived our new teacher training program. We have experienced an increase in diversity among our teaching and management staff. And San Diego State University has developed a professional certificate in cultural competency, a direct outgrowth of our teacher pipeline work. The district has also partnered with organizations to deliver teacher and student training. During the past year, San Diego Unified School District and Groundworks Earth Lab partnership has brought an unprecedented academic enrichment and financial support to teachers and students throughout this district. For example, the Earth Lab's educational services has provided training in STEM, next generation science standards, and Common Core goals. 35 teachers participated in related professional development. 60 teachers used the Earth Lab for student enrichment. 2,000 students studied at the Earth Lab for a total of 10,120 student hours. Over $1.4 million in funding has been generated in support of conservation infrastructure improvements to schools in this district as a result of this powerful partnership. And that's just the beginning. Another example is the Diamond Educational Excellence Partnership, known as DEEP. This partnership has more than 14 organizations that have come together to ensure reading proficiency by the end of third grade. And we know how important that is, and making sure we have a pipeline to career in college and not a pipeline to prison. A major outcome is collaborating with the California Reading and Educational Milestone Literature Project to provide over 60 teachers with professional development around cutting-edge teaching and learning strategies tied to Common Core standards. This work has resulted in Summer Readers, Future Leaders, a program to fight summer learning loss, which research shows exacerbates the achievement gap. This promising practice has been piloted in one school and has now expanded to 3. With all the district schools transitioning to a traditional calendar, students will have longer summer breaks, making powerful summer learning programming an essential part of fighting summer learning loss and closing the achievement gap. And we shall continue to work together on this. Goal 4 of our LCAP is creating positive school environments and culture with equity at the core for the whole child. I talked earlier about our greater focus on equity, inclusion, access, and educational excellence for all. This important work is important. As of last year, we have really focused on this with a sense of urgency. To this end, we support and encourage student-led anti-bullying efforts. Anti-bullying clubs have expanded at our schools across the district. These clubs are proactive, calling for students, parents, and staff to make a pledge against bullying. Our anti-bullying focus has also led us to expand our work related to restorative justice and to become a leader in utilizing positive behavior interventions and supports, trauma-informed schools, peer mediation, conflict resolution, teen court, and diversion programs. That's right, because it makes all the difference to being on the road to becoming a complete restorative district. In our work to build a culture of restorative practice, we are focusing on teaching students skills needed to become a stronger citizen and building a stronger sense of community among themselves. The 3 restorative strategies we have established and will continue to build upon include restorative conferences, family group conferences, and restorative circles. We believe restorative practices have gone a long way in reducing suspension and expulsion rates. Here's why. Last year, we had 41% fewer expulsions than 2013-14. 71 last year compared to 121 the previous year. Those are expulsions. We had more than 1,500, and I did say that, 1,500 fewer suspensions last year than the year prior, a drop of 24%. We know that students need to be in school to learn. While we're moving in the right direction, the data shows suspensions and expulsions involving students of color are still disproportionate, but we are determined to turn this around. And ethnic studies could be that cultural connection for our students, which will lead to increased achievement. While a legislative proposal to require ethnic studies courses did not pass this year, San Diego Unified voted unanimously to support a K-12 ethnic studies plan with a cross-functional team of internal and external stakeholders and experts to develop this effective ethnic studies program. We know that when our students learn about their rich cultural heritage and contributions to the world, whether it be Chicano studies, Black studies, Filipino studies, Asian studies, or LGBTQ studies, they walk, talk, and shine with confidence and pride. That's right. Goal 5 centers on parent and community engagement with highly regarded neighborhood schools that serve students, families, and communities. Going into this year, the voices of parents from our cluster communities has been essential in our work to align cluster academic programs and identify needs for pre-K through high school. We have established Team Family for Equity, composed of, and I'll say that again, Team Family for Equity, composed of family members, educators, and community partners, a team that is modeling the partnerships we hope for to build systemic family and community engagement to contribute to stronger student learning, post-secondary readiness, and life outcomes for each and every student. Already, Team Family for Equity has engaged the Crawford Cluster in an innovative process called Design Thinking, where 150 members of this community tackled the question, how might we design a better way for families, educators, and community partners to support student learning together? This process will get different answers depending on the cluster or school community, but we're learning that the design thinking approach builds on strong relationships, understanding, and action for stronger partnerships among families, educators, and community partners. We are looking at the ways this work and other practices using innovation and community networks. We really believe that these opportunities for all of our adults and children's lives will make all the difference. Whether families, educators, community partners, a tight-knit network of support around student learning is absolutely essential. And that's right. And finally, Goal 6. Goal 6 is well-orchestrated district-wide support services and communications. We spent a lot of time last year aligning the structure of all of our work related to Vision 2020 and our LCAP to better connect with families, advisory groups, and other stakeholders to have much more purposeful engagement. This has been so important to ensure that all stakeholders are informed and know we need, and we do need, your input as we move forward. We made some changes going into the school year to enhance the recruitment of diverse staff that also enabled us to be well ahead in the hiring process this year than in previous years. Going into this year, recruitment and hiring began far earlier than in previous years, giving us the ability to more fully staff schools as they needed as the school year started. It is this investment in our schools and our teachers that is behind our call to action when it comes to establishing adequate school funding at the legislative level. And we must encourage our stakeholders to help us raise the volume on this critical conversation of the future. About a year ago, our board and superintendent met with state legislators and finance officials to talk about the need for the state to make a larger investment in public education, to not only minimally restore past funding reductions to schools, but to move California to the national average for per pupil spending. That's right. In those conversations, our legislators put to us this question: what does adequate look like? We have spent a year developing an investment model that we believe answers this question. We know what outcome we want, not for some, but for all students. And we know what that looks like in order to compete locally, in the state, nationally, and in this globalizing society? This investment model definitely answers that question, and that will help legislators understand why additional investments are necessary for California students to graduate with the skills and knowledge necessary in today's society, and to maintain California's competitive advantage in this global economy. And you'll be hearing about this a little bit more from Superintendent Martin. Before I close this evening, I'd like to once again express my deepest appreciation for your attendance tonight and for your own investment in our students. And I would remind you once again of the words of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who said, "The test of a morality of a society is how well it treats its children." And when we invest in their education, we are treating our students well. Your investments of the heart make all the difference for our children. Your love, your unconditional support, your dreams for our children, your dreams for your children, our important investments in their success in school and life depends on not the story of I, not the story of you, but the story of we. Because of you and because of us, we will continue to bring a world-class education to all of San Diego's students and to California's future. Thank you. Hi, Mom and Dad. They're the ones standing. And it is my pleasure and extreme privilege to now introduce to you Cindy Martin, our superintendent, who will talk about where we're headed.
No, we did not plan our dresses to almost look the same. So I have a script here that I'm not using because I'm going to talk to you about the work that we're doing in this district that lives in my heart and in my head as I lead California's second largest district, the 8th largest district in the country. I lead with a sense of pride and enthusiasm and hope as this community has come together to deliver on the promise and hope of public education. I'm more enthused now than I ever have been because I've spent time in our classrooms alongside our students, in our community meetings, in our churches, in our theaters, across this district, seeing the commitment that this city has to public education inspires me every single day. I get inspired easily. You hear about my sunrise pictures and my sunset pictures and finding lucky pennies and lucky fortunes to inspire me, but what inspires me more than anything else is the work that each and every one of you does every single day on behalf of our children. So I looked around to see who's in our audience today, because here we are, a district with 17,000 employees, over 100,000 students. And in this auditorium today, I know we had some students earlier, but if you're a parent, can I see who you are, parents? Thank you. How about our teachers? Where are our teachers? Beautiful. And how about our community partners, nonprofits? Our principals, vice principals, other administrators. Thank you. How about our classified staff? I noticed that Some of you raise your hand for multiple titles. And what I really understand about the work that we do is that it's not the title that matters. It's not the specific job title next to our name, but it's the commitment that we have to our children. And what I've seen in our collective impact approach and our community-based school reform is that everybody has a contribution to make. And when we unlock that potential, to unlock the genius of every one of our students, we truly are able to deliver. And I've seen what you've been able to accomplish. I've seen the contributions you've made and the work that you've done. President Foster just outlined, and she said, keep up with me here. I've got 6 goals. I don't have gray hair yet, but when I listened to what we accomplished just last year, as President Foster started to outline the accomplishments that have already taken place, we have much to celebrate. And we have much to do. And it's with a sense of urgency that we go into what is my 3rd year in this role as a superintendent. But my lifelong commitment to education has a sense of urgency about it, and it's put alongside a sense of patience for the work. And to have to live with the duality of urgency and patience when you have a student in a classroom who might not be getting what they need, it's hard to be patient. But we also understand when we have a system as large as ours that it takes time. It takes time to change, it takes time to grow, it takes time to develop. So we can celebrate the accomplishments, we can look at the data, we can say here are the small bits that have started to happen and started to take hold, and then we can commit to even more for our future. But we have to know that this is long-term work. This isn't work that happens by flipping a switch. This isn't work that just has a silver bullet and then all of a sudden we wake up one day and we've delivered on equity in this district. It doesn't happen overnight like that. It happens slowly, over time. And are we committed to taking the long road to actually delivering once and for all on public education, delivering on equity, and creating America's finest school system? I think we are. Last year at the State of the District, it was a very emotional time for me. My father had just passed away suddenly, and if those of you that were there, I talked about my father, how he was an athlete, very healthy, 80 years old, and riding his bike had been hit by a car and died suddenly. It was a year ago on Halloween. I talked about the students that lived in the apartment next to him, the students that go to Ybarra Elementary School, and how they were there for me the night that I found my father in his apartment. He had been hit by a car a couple days before, and he succumbed to his injuries. And the night I found him there, students that were from one of our very own schools came around me and gathered with me as I mourned the loss of my father. Do you know that later in the year, this past school year, I was on a visit to Ybarra Elementary, and I was walking into a 5th grade classroom, and a little girl came up to me and said, "Mrs. Martin, I want you to know we're taking care of your dad for you." She recognized me right when I came in, and I knew the kids went to Ybarra, I just didn't know which classroom they were in. She came right up to me, and she told me that his condo's been sitting vacant ever since he passed away, as we deal with the estate and what we need to do for our family plans. What I didn't know is there was a plant on the patio outside my dad's condo. And the little girl told me that she's been watering the plant every week, and she said, "We're keeping it alive to keep your father's memory alive." It was so beautiful that she was doing that. When I think about that, when I think about the patience and the thoughtfulness, I still don't know what her test scores are. I still don't know her proficiency levels, but what I know is she knows how to care and she knows how to be in community. And then I think about that plant that my father left, and that she's carrying that forward. And I think about the long-term commitment that we're making to delivering on the promise of public education. And I make the analogy to growing. And to when you watch a plant grow and you take good care of it, it takes time. And you don't know exactly when it's going to bloom. You can't just go out in your front garden and look at that rose bush that doesn't have a rose on it and say, "Hurry up, rose, bloom." You can't yell at it. You can't mandate it. You can't make it bloom. It blooms when it's ready to bloom. It needs to be loved and nurtured and taken care of. It needs to have the right conditions. but it does it when it's ready, all in good time. So it's that level of patience that we have to commit to the work that we're doing with our students and our school system every single day. We work to break down the silos in a large district so that we're working collaboratively on a team. And we work with patience, and it seems like it would be so easy if we could just mandate the things that matter the most. Let's mandate restorative practices. Let's mandate cultural proficiency. Let's mandate biliteracy. Let's mandate the things that matter. And we know that in the end, mandates without belief, passion, knowledge, skill, competence, and desire only get you so far. I commend this Board of Education for creating a context within which mandates and policies are created that are aligned to deep beliefs about our children, because those policies allow staff to implement supports for our schools and our children to achieve. No matter where I go in this district, whether it's staff, classified staff members, teachers, parents, community partners, I see this community coming together on behalf of its children. San Diego, if nothing else, believes in public education. I see it every single day, and we care so much that we all have lots of ideas about how to best improve our schools and to do it with a sense of urgency. I recently learned that the National Poet Laureate, Juan Felipe Herrera, graduated from San Diego High School. How many of you have heard of him before? Graduated, he was California's Poet Laureate in 2012, and he's the first Hispanic National Poet Laureate for the United States of America, coming right here from San Diego Unified. Do you think his teacher, when he was sitting in class in San Diego High, knew that someday he would be making this giant contribution to the arts? He's an artist, a mural artist, and also a poet who someday I hope to welcome him back into our community and have him come visit the students at San Diego High School. And I just wonder when I walk into classrooms, which are the students today sitting in our classrooms that will become the next poet laureate, the next person to discover something that had not yet been discovered? Are we creating the conditions in each one of our schools so that each and every student is able to unlock the genius that lies within them? That is our charge. And it's not just the teacher in the classroom that has the responsibility, the honor, and the privilege of making that happen. It's this entire community committed to delivering on the promise for our students. So we've made commitments, and we've created a context in our district where last year we studied 4 learning cycles. And we're repeating the cycles this year because at the heart of our 4 learning cycles is the ability for this district to create conditions so that students who leave us will become the actively literate, contributing, participating members of society who are making positive differences in their communities. So our 4 learning cycles, at the heart of them lives our dream around equity, excellence, and innovation. We start the school year with asking ourselves across the campuses, how do we create the academic, social, and physical environments that are worthy of our students? And each and every teacher engages in their own professional learning, in their own professional learning communities, with principals leading that work alongside teachers, learners among learners, answering that question. And as I visit schools, we begin to unpack what that looks like. Last year, we focused specifically on physical environments, looking at inside the classroom, are our physical environments worthy of our students? And this year, I focused even more on the social environment. With our commitment to restorative practices and changing our discipline practices, I want to see what happens in the classrooms. How are students being honored, being seen, being listened to, being understood by one another and by their teachers through a lens of cultural proficiency? After 9 weeks of studying that learning cycle, we move into our second cycle, which is focused on collaborative conversations. This is critical for us if we're to deliver on the idea that students are going to become participating members of society. Students need to know how to have a collaborative conversation, to listen to one another very carefully, and to know how to articulate their thoughts, ideas, and beliefs based on facts and not just opinions. When we look at the polarization of what's happening in society today, whether it be in politics or other areas, we see how critically important it is that as human beings, we can listen to one another, speak our truth, and understand the truth that another may be sharing with us. It's in that second learning cycle around how do we create conditions where students can talk and listen in collaborative conversations with one another, that we're creating those conditions so when students go out into the world, whether it's first in their small school community, their local community, their state, or eventually their nation, they have the skills, the knowledge about how to have a conversation that might be difficult. Collaborative conversations is at the heart of the work of creating conditions where students are able to participate in their community. The third learning cycle, I'm not supposed to have a favorite one. The third and the fourth are my two favorites though. The third one is unlocking the genius. How do we create conditions that unlocks the genius and addresses the variability of each and every student, each and every learner in our classroom? As we recommit to that third cycle this year, we begin to look at what does it take in each classroom. You could say that learning cycle is about differentiation, but we're going past just differentiation. Every student has a gift. They're bringing their knowledge, their language, their culture, their background, their experience into our classrooms, and we see those as assets, as gifts to the learning environment in our classrooms. So the degree to which our teachers know how to engage every student with cultural proficiency to unlock the genius and the gift that is coming within our four walls of our classrooms and allow us to tap into the potential of each student. That takes careful, thoughtful planning and lesson design. We're not teaching a curriculum. We're teaching human beings. We're teaching students. We see who they are, we see their gifts, we see their strengths, and we learn how to unlock them. That leads us into our fourth learning cycle for the last 9 weeks of the school. And these learning cycles go pre-kindergarten all the way through adult. And in fact, even the classified staff is studying these learning cycles, and principals are studying them as well, that these are learning conditions for our adults as much as they are for our students. The fourth one is how do we create conditions where students take an active stance towards their learning? Instead of passively sitting in class listening to a teacher, how do I actively engage with a sense of voice and agency in learning in my classroom? And we're creating those conditions across each and every one of our classrooms. These four learning cycles have to live inside our commitment to equity. Earlier this year, actually last year and over the summer, we began a formal partnership with the National Equity Project. We're taking that work to another level this year. Over the summer, we had our 5 board trustees, and every single manager in the district principals got together with the National Equity Project for a 2-day institute where we began to unpack what is happening in our district as a system, starting first with the inner work of each leader around how do we create a system that eliminates the biases that live within our very own system. The degree to which in San Diego Unified we have institutionalized racism is ours to address. We must, as leaders, as teachers, as community partners, come together and address the issues that are holding our students back around equity. We have to look within, and then we have to learn to interrupt the biases that exist in our system. The National Equity Project has helped us understand the racialized outcomes and the ways in which we can interrupt the biases that we see. And we don't interrupt interrupt can be considered a rude word. We interrupt with skill, with grace, with competence, and we learn the skills necessary to interrupt those biases that exist. And whether that's through redesigning our pathways and our master schedules in high school to make sure all students have access to rigorous coursework in A through G, what systems need to be interrupted in order for that to happen will be questions that we continue to ask one another as we deliver on our A through G graduation requirements. The work that we're doing with National Equity Project and internal work in this district comes from a place where each individual has a role to play, and it's an approach that does not use shame or blame. We're not blaming anyone, we're not shaming anyone. Whatever belief they bring to the system is something for us to address, to explore, and then make different decisions. When we know better, we can do better. At this point, it is too easy to predict how our students will do in school and in life, unfortunately, based on their race, their language, their parent education levels, their sex, their background. We should not be able to predict a person's ability to succeed in life and in school based on those factors. When we completely eliminate those biases and we deliver on equity, that will disappear. And we're beginning to see that. We will close the achievement gap once and for all when an entire system can gather around decisions that have been made in the past. We change those decisions based on a different belief system, and we no longer will be able to predict based on those typical risk factors. Whether it's our students with disabilities, our English learners, whether it's working with our community partners or with our teachers, we come together and gather around these issues. I'm very excited about the work that's happening with our AAAE, with our Latino Advisory Committee, with our LGBTQ Advisory Committee. The work of these three groups in particular is very powerful as we listen to our community members who care and have extreme expertise, passion, knowledge, and skill around how to deliver for these specific student groups. These groups have been working for many years, but now it's action time. What we're putting in place and what we've learned in these specific advisory groups are working in smaller groups now, bringing in the knowledge of the community to help the community get better. At the core of what we do in this district is we believe that we use the community to change the community. And we have partners just ready to stand alongside us and help us get this work done. And those of you partners that are in the room, thank you for being patient with us as we align our systems, make sure we have clarity in our system around what we're creating, why we're creating it, how we're creating it, that we invite you in, whether it's Ocean Discoveries or our PK program, Parents Institute for Quality Education, the TKF Foundation, Reality Changers, the Cesar Chavez Service Club, partnering also with the United Way. These are partners at the ready, standing alongside of us to deliver on the hope and the promise and the commitments that we are making to our students, whether it's increasing our school gardens, investing further in early learning programs, making sure that we have more locally sourced, fresh, not processed foods in our cafeterias, our improved commitment to health and wellness across every single campus. We want to make sure every student is seen and valued, and community partners are part of whether it's the National Conflict Resource Center, Resolution Center, helping us with our restorative justice programs, whether it's the Center for LGBTQ, helping us bring forth best practices around bullying, around curriculum, making sure we're implementing the Fair Education Act. We have partners in the center ready to support us on that. Whether it's our partners through the Alliance San Diego, committed to making sure more students are on track to graduate, whether it's our partners in Latino Advisory Committee and other English learner support groups around making sure we increase student reclassification rates, our increased graduation rates, making sure more students are prepared for and scheduled to take the advanced coursework we know they need to succeed in college and career. We're working to make sure we're tracking and increasing the number of students who earn our seal of biliteracy. We found best practices and we want to improve upon that. We're increasing our diversity of candidates for our to be in our teaching pool, and a strong partnership with our teachers union on our teacher pipeline task force to make sure that happens. I'm seeing strong site plans. This is to our principals, building strong site plans for professional development. We see over and over and over again the school alongside the community creating the change that needs to happen for our students. We've been doing this work now for too many years on too little money. Is that the right way to say that? Not enough money. The funding for public education in California, you heard President Foster speak about that. The funding is something that we are continually needing to advocate for. I made a commitment last year, and I keep that commitment alongside the Board of Education that we will take each and every dollar and be sure to invest it to deliver on the goals that we've committed to. However, we are only able to make the commitment in a way that we're calling down payments on our future. We have small programs in certain areas that we can invest in and we can't yet take to scale. When we see a program that's working, whether it's our restorative practices, for example, or some other program around attendance, around student supports, and to know that it works and to have the data showing that it works and then not be able to take it to scale is what puts the fire under me to make sure that we are having not just a local, but a statewide conversation around California's education funding. And I invite you to join me in that conversation as we begin our efforts to help California understand what it will take to fully invest in our schools once again. We're not there yet. We just spent the last year defining what it would mean to take some of our best programs to full scale. Tomorrow I'll be hosting a statewide conference call with leaders across the state and media partners as well, defining what we believe appropriate investments in San Diego Unified School District would be. We asked ourselves, if we were to take these efforts to scale, the ones that are working, if we were to take them to scale, here's current funding, what would appropriate funding look like? We computed that into a model and a financial model working with our finance team, and I worked with our local Teachers Association, Administrators Association, Parent Teacher Association, our School Board Association at the state level. We worked Classified Association. We began to define what it would look like. We'll release those findings tomorrow, but since you're here, I can give you a preview. Can I give a preview, Ursula, or do I have to wait till tomorrow? Because the press is here too. All right, well, might as well. When we analyzed what it would take to fully fund our schools for the 14-15 school year, to take the programs that we know we would want to further invest in, it came out to be a $350 million gap for the 14-15 school year. That's about $3,200 per student. That would have been needed. And by the way, that $3,200 investment in students, if we were to increase the funding to that appropriate level, that would bring us to just about the national average. To think that California has invested in our students at a level that puts us at 46th in the nation in per pupil funding is something we need to think long and hard about and move past thinking about it into action. That if we were to increase funding so that we would have $3,200 more per student, we would just be at the national average. Are we okay with that? It's for us to lead the conversation. The last time the state of California defined funding adequacy was through a study at Stanford called Getting Down to Facts in 2007, and they identified a funding gap back then of $20 billion. That funding gap is greater now, we can only imagine. I want the conversation to be led by us, those of us that work closest to students, the educators in the field, the parents, the administrators, the community partners who know best what our schools need for appropriate funding. And that's what we spent the last year doing. We engaged all of our partners at a community level, and we have one voice coming from San Diego as we lead these efforts to advocate on appropriate education funding at the state level. I thank the Board of Education for putting staff to that challenge. Last year, the board asked us as staff to say, so what would it look like if we were able to take all these programs to scale? We have the answer. We'll be releasing further information about that over the next couple of days. And I want to thank specifically Martha Alvarez, our Director of Government Relations, sitting over there, she can wave, helped us lead the effort at the state level to define this and to launch a conversation in San Diego, but across this state. And I invite you also, I think you got a handout when you came in on November 4th, we'll be having a community town hall at the Ed Center, helping to define for a wider audience what the issues are around public education funding in California. I invite everybody in this room to invite 5 other people that you know to come to that forum as we begin the citywide conversation. And we'll be hosting 2 other forums later in the year. This is our work to lead. The story of public education is our story to tell. You know my investment in this district. I grew up in this city. I believe in public education, but this is our collective work together. It can no longer be one or two voices helping the public understand how we're preparing students for the future. You in this room are part of a communication strategy to help the public know what's happening in our schools. Whether you're part of our health and wellness initiatives, whether you're part of our curriculum initiatives, whether you're committed to our science standards, whether you're committed to restorative practices, whether you're committed to our school gardens and healthy foods for every student, whether you're committed to physical education, are you telling your friends, your colleagues, your critics what we're actually doing? Are you having that conversation with people that you know and helping to tell the story of public education? Because if you're not, it's time to tell our story. Because guess what? If we don't tell it, people will tell it for us. I think the heart of our work going into my third year as superintendent is focusing on the voice of our students. We opened up the Office of Youth Advocacy with Dr. Vernon Moore, and we made commitments to our students around delivering on very deep issues in our district. As we take that work forward, I look forward to collaborating with our students. When Trustee Foster or somebody asked where are the students, we don't have Lincoln students in the room right now. Next year, I want to see our students here. I want to see our students telling us the state of the district. Let's hear directly from the customers we serve. Because I can talk about goals all night long, goal 5, goal 6, LCAP this, restorative practice. I could say whatever I want to say until I hear directly from the students, which is why I spend the majority of my time alongside students. Until we hear from them, we're just talking. So I encourage you, if you don't yet have a student that you closely mentor, support, monitor, and be a part of their life, find one. Be a part of a student's life. And next year, when we have our State of the District, we are going to hear directly from our students, those that we serve, because their voices are the voices that matter the most. That's who I work for, and I know it's who you work for every day. Thank you very much. Those of you that raised your hand as parents, if you have not yet been a part of Team Family for Equity, know that the commitment to our families and to our parents is tremendously important. As we've grown the capacity of our adults, we're inviting our parents into this conversation. So maybe we'll get parents up here on the stage next year too. Thank you, everybody.